me, I'm Star. I am Quay's daughter, and so, and Dad couldn't be here. He's recovering from a heart surgery, so he wrote something that he wanted me to read. And this is from my dad. The first memories I have of my mom are in the period before I was 6 years old. We were living in a house on Bully Hill, just down the road from the Robinson farm. Only 3 events stick in my mind from that time. Going up the road to visit the Robinsons, Mom returning from town with the horn stuck and blowing while Dad was standing in the front yard mad as he could be. I can picture that. Mom taking us to Sunday school and church at the Methodist church within walking distance of the house. We moved to town before I went to first grade and moved into 309 4th Street, where we lived until I graduated from Grove City College. True to form, Mom took us kids to Sunday school at the First Ward Chapel on Liberty Street, led by Tommy Domries and his wife. Later, she began adding church and walked us to 7th Street Church of God after completing our Sunday school class. It was here that at a revival meeting, I accepted Christ, which I still remember vividly. I also remember that on the same Sunday, Mom and I were both baptized by immersion. Dad's foray into running a service station failed because his customers didn't pay their bills and he refused to declare bankruptcy, working 3 jobs to pay the money owed. I still remember the argument he and Mom had because she went out and got a job at Joy Manufacturing Company against his will. She was loyal to him and just as strong-willed as him, but Mom, in essence, now had 2 full-time jobs. I remember her always up early in the morning and always late at night, making clothes, mending, etc. She made my underwear shorts until I went to Air Force ROTC boot camp, made my first suit, made all of my shirts until I was in 8th grade. She taught me to bake and cook, and I even made money doing that. I remember the things she drilled into me with some very simple statements. These statements reflected the attitude that she and my dad wanted us to have so we could be successful in life. Can't never did anything, and I have heard that one a lot. No, you didn't forget, you didn't want to remember. If someone else did it, so can you. If someone tries to force you to do something, you don't have to do it. If they ask you to do something, you should do it if you can. When I was growing up, my mom was 98 pounds of energy and she was only 5 foot 1 inch tall. As a teenager, I remember being asked if she was my sister more than one time. There are some significant things I remember that my mom did. Kindergarten was optional the year I was old enough to go. Mom elected to teach me at home and forego sending me to school. When I entered first grade, I was used as a comparison, and they were surprised to find I was ahead of those coming in from kindergarten. I knew the alphabet, I could count to 100, and I knew numbers, and I could even write my name. Mom taught me well. In 4th grade, I decided I wanted to play a musical instrument. The school system only allowed children to start in the 5th grade. Mom championed me and discussed it with the school, and they started me on the clarinet with Mr. Pixley, the high school band director, as a teacher. She even figured out a way to buy a clarinet for Mr. Hanna for $85, which was big money in 1952. I still have that clarinet today and have enjoyed playing music all my life, including directing music as a minister of music in church for many years. I still remember the pride my mother had when I stood up in First Ward Chapel and played my first solo, Trust and Obey, on that clarinet. And a note, that was my first solo as a piano player in a church service, which I think is kind of funny. And Mom was the one who made sure I practiced every day on the clarinet. There was no stopping once I had started to learn to be a musician. Mom had a lead foot. When Dad got a Corvette, it was Mom who drove it to work every day. She did not waste time and really whipped along when she drove. And I wanted to stop on his thing. When I was a girl, we would come visit, and my grandma would always be at work when we got here. So we would sit at the window watching for her to come home. And if you knew my grandparents, my grandfather changed cars a lot. And so I never knew what she was driving. So I asked him, what kind of car is Grandma in? And he said, don't worry, just watch for the car dragging the front bumper. Mom had a separate change purse in her handbag that was where she put her tithe each payday. It was religiously filled with change and bills and doled out from her to us regularly. We always had something to put in the offering plate. When I began making money, I was expected to tithe, which I did, some. Mom made extra money on the side by fixing people's hair and giving permanents to the ladies around the neighborhood. She canned large quantities of food and stored it in the basement to carry us through each winter. One of her humorous results took place when a friend of my dad's came over to help dig out the cellar under our house. Mom made some root beer, and it was in old ketchup bottles in the basement. She wasn't satisfied with it, but Dad's friend sampled it and liked it, so she told him he could have as much as he wanted. Well, he sampled heavily that day and was drunk. Mom never made root beer again. I never heard my mom say, "Wait until your dad gets home." When I got in trouble, she may have only been 98 pounds, but retribution for my wrongdoing was immediate and painful. She and my dad were a united front when it came to discipline and making sure we lived up to the standards they set. Mom took care of Dad when he experienced Alzheimer's during his final years until she was simply overwhelmed. I remember talking to her and she would simply, she would simply break down and cry. Ooh, I did pretty good till that point, sorry. She was strong, but it was too much. Even after he was confined to a memory unit at Sugar Creek Station, she faithfully visited him every day. In summary, my mom was my champion, my mentor, my disciplinarian, my teacher, my supporter. Sorry, guys. And the model of what I have to be a woman, a wife, and a lady, and what a lady is supposed to be. I know God loves her too. And I will tell you, one of the things I thought about on the way here was, I looked at my nails, and if you know my grandma, her nails were always perfect, and I thought, glad Grandma can't see my nails this week because they really need to be done. So, but I know she's in a better place, and I know that we will see her again one day. Thank God for heaven.